A deal, as I mentioned, potentially worth 1.1 billion rand. Many are wondering about the possible synergies at this point in time. We know that it has been a troubled asset. What are the synergies right now? And we know there could be challenges going ahead because it actually hasn't been done and dusted. There's still a regulatory process that needs to go ahead.
Thank you, Eleni. There are no direct synergies as such. However, the PGM concentrate is considered attractive, the mix of UG and the Merensky reef. And so from that perspective, we believe that, whilst there are no direct synergies at this stage, that this is an attractive opportunity. There will also be a services agreement for the provision of technical services from Lonmin. And so, we expect, and are hopeful that the feasibility study will be positive.
With regards to where to from here, when you look at this potential deal going forward, it is quite an exciting space because it is in the platinum sector. Are you planning to gear up your exposure within the sector, or is this now your first foray, essentially?
Well, from an operational perspective, this is our first foray. And, we see it as a good opportunity given our joint, partnership in the existing investment that we have in Lonmin through the Ingwala, SPV. And so, from an operational perspective, this would be our first foray, and we hope that it will be one of, others to come.
Phuti, also looking at some of the troubles that we have seen, and I alluded to them a little earlier, from an operational perspective, as you mentioned, this is going to be your first foray. How are you going to deal with some of the challenges that this asset is dealing with?
Well, this is the reason for having the feasibility study, is to just, look at just the historical performance, and, obviously we've already had exposure to PGM prices given our current investment through Ingwala. But, there are a number of, risks, that one would potentially be exposed to. And, we will see what the outcome of the feasibility study is in itself. From an operational perspective, obviously our partnership with Lonmin will be important with respect to having the additional operational capability. But from Shanduka's perspective, we will also be looking at ensuring that we resource ourselves adequately in order to deal with any potential operational risks that we may be faced with. But outside of that, in terms of any other, potential commodity volatility, any currency volatility, I mean, those are the types of risks that we are already exposed to anyway.
With regards to the how the deal is going to be financed, are we looking at an unencumbered equity contribution of around 300 million rand from Shanduka, essentially? Tell us about where the rest of the capital will be flowing from.
Well, the funding structure will only be finalized once we've completed the feasibility study itself. However, we, at that point, we do contemplate being in a position to have project financing for the 1.1 billion rand. Obviously, there will be quite a significant amount of equity funding that would be required from Shanduka. But at that point, we will then assess the extent to which we think we should be gearing up the transaction and how it would be most appropriate to structure the funding.